What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Cam ATL. Shout out to the DFS squad. Shout out to everybody watching this video right now. Drop a like down below because I already know you're gonna love it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't down below. Comment anything down in the comment section to enter your name into the $50 giveaway that I do every single week on this channel. Thank you guys for joining me as always for this week 13 NFL slate. I apologize for not having a first look lineup this week. I was busy and didn't get a chance due to, holidays and stuff, Thanksgiving stuff and all that, preparing for it and all that. So I wasn't able to get that done this week, but I figured, you know what? It might be last minute, but let me come on and give them a final look. We are going to go through position by position and talk about every player that we are down to play and the reason why we're down to play them. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Greenlightdfs.com to join the squad. Let's get straight into it. We will have NFL and NBA going tomorrow as well. So if you want to play NBA with us tomorrow, you can. NFL, you can. It's all good. All right. Starting off at quarterback, Patrick Mahomes is the most expensive option on this slate. Now, here's the thing though. Regardless of who Lamar Jackson is facing, in cash games, I feel like you just go Lamar Jackson and figure the rest out. Okay? The dude gives you a crazy high floor just off his rushing ability. I know San Francisco's got a solid defense. Bosa is a solid guy. He can get to the quarterback, but Lamar is just too shifty, and he is going to dominate in this matchup once again. So in cash games, I'm really leaning Lamar Jackson a ton, but Mahomes has a ton of upside here against Oakland, a very bad secondary at home in Kansas City, but the only down part is it's going to be pretty damn windy, okay? It was looking like 15 to 20 mile per hour winds, which is obviously a bump down to the passing game. Either way, Kansas City is going to throw okay. If I had to choose my top quarterback of the slate, I would have to go Lamar Jackson. But if you want to be different off of the chalkier Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes is completely fine, and just hope that wind doesn't really affect it too much. All right. Next up, we have Aaron Rodgers against the Giants. Now, the only thing that bothers me here is, once again, the weather. Okay, this is probably one of the worst weather areas of the slate. Okay, it's going to be like sleet, snow, rain, all combined. It's a bad weather game. Okay, so obviously that's going to shift it more towards the run. This is something, obviously, though, weather can change. So just pay attention before the slate starts. If the weather's looking really bad there, because I do like guys like Devontae Adams this week, Adams is going to get he's going to take a significant hit if it's snowing like 6 inches like people are saying it could. You know what I mean? So definitely keep an eye on that. If it looks like it's going to be, because Green Bay, one thing about Green Bay is they're used to playing in that type of thing. They play in that for a lot of the season. It's super cold there in Green Bay. So they're kind of used to that, okay? As long as it's not like crazy rain, like a whole bunch of snow, I think it's still okay to play Adams, but just keep an eye on that, okay? But that definitely does hurt the pass game for sure, especially if it's snowing and raining and all that. So Aaron Rodgers at 6'5" still would 100% go Lamar Jackson. So plain and simple, Lamar is my main guy that I like this week. But let's talk GPP options that probably won't have much ownership. One of them is Jameis Winston against Jacksonville. Now, this Jacksonville defense isn't what we're used to seeing them. I mean, they don't have Ramsey anymore. They're not very good in the secondary. They're okay, but they're not very good. And Winston has the potential to go off. It is in Jacksonville. And I do believe, is that another weather game? Yeah, that's another weather game. There's a chance of showers there. It's looking like it's more of a wind issue than a rain issue, but we're going to have to keep an eye on that as well. So keep an eye on the weather in those games, mainly the game in Jacksonville. Keep an eye on that. The game in Cincinnati looks like it's going to be fine. It had some chances of rain. The game in New York with Green Bay looks like there could be snow. The game in Carolina was looking like rain, but now it's looking fine. The game in Baltimore is expecting rain, but that's completely fine for Lamar Jackson. We're wanting the floor with his legs anyways, and when he does throw it, I mean, he's going to throw kind of more of the little dump passes and stuff like that, so it's not going to hurt him at all. It's a light rain, so I'm not worried about that. And then the game in Kansas City, it's just really windy. There's no rain, but it's really windy up to like 20 miles per hour. All right, let's go ahead and zoom through the rest of these guys. Baker Mayfield's going against Pittsburgh. I'm not too interested in him in GPPs. Sam Darnold either. The guys that I'm interested in GPP, Jared Goff is an option. You can also go with him in cash. He's got a great matchup against Arizona. Bad secondary. Patrick Peterson is back, so that helps their secondary a little bit. But at the end of the day, Jared Goff is in a great spot because Arizona is going to score. It's in a dome. It's their fast-paced team, so that's always good. So Jared Goff is definitely an option in GPPs at 6,000. Another guy that I like is Carson Wentz against Miami. Wentz has not been great this year. He's been okay. He's been fairly consistent. But going against Miami, this is definitely a nice get-right spot for him. So at 5'8", he's definitely a solid option for GPPs. I like pairing him with like Ertz and Alshon Jeffrey, who is back this week as well. All right. Another guy that I want to talk about is Nick Foles. Nick Foles is back, and he's at home in Jacksonville going against one of the worst secondaries in the entire league in Tampa Bay. A lot of people are kind of sleeping on him, and yes, I would still rather Wentz over him for $100 more, but in GPPs, when you're trying to be different, Foles is definitely an option that I think he could have a very, very solid game against this bad Tampa Bay team at 5.7. But yes, I do prefer Wentz. Wentz is probably my favorite GPP option. Let's go ahead and talk about some value, like real down in the cheap style. Andy Dalton is getting his starting spot back, and he's only 4.7 at home in Cincinnati going against the Jets D. That's nothing special. So if you're trying to punt quarterback, this is a fine spot to do it at 4.7. He's only 4.7. He's getting back to starting at home going against a bad defense. So Dalton is fine at 4.7 if you are wanting to punt. All right. Other than that, we've pretty much talked about the other guys we're interested in. All right, I'm gonna try not to take too much of your time and get straight to the point with the guys that I'm interested in this week. All right, starting off at running back, I'm gonna be trying to get McCaffrey in as pretty much all my lines. I haven't had an issue being able to get McCaffrey in so far, looking through the slate. So McCaffrey's a guy that I'm gonna probably have 100% of against Washington. That defense is just too bad. Their offense Washington doesn't really have the offensive firepower to get up and force Carolina to throw, but even if they did, McCaffrey's still pretty much their best receiver. So McCaffrey's in a great spot. I know he's expensive at 10.5, but for cash games especially, he's got a very safe bet, and he's a very safe bet for about 30 DraftKings points in a matchup like this. All right. Outside of that, another guy that I have a lot of attention on this week is Leonard Fournette. I know Tampa Bay's run D has been okay this year, but Fournette just gets so much usage. In cash games, if you're trying to just get safety, okay, and you want a solid floor, Fournette is the best you can get outside of McCaffrey. Okay, this dude is on the field for like 98% of their plays. He's 7.5. Good situation for him here. He's at home in Jacksonville. Leonard Fournette is a very solid floor play. Even though Tampa Bay is a solid run D, he is a very solid option. Seeing that Saquon Barkley's been taking it a bit easy. They're not giving him as many carries lately. It's a great matchup, but there's no reason for them to put their future getting hurt just for no reason because they have no chance to make any playoffs or anything like that. All right. Le'Veon Bell is in a solid situation against Cincinnati, but it's another one of those situations like Le'Veon, yes, he could have a great game against Cincinnati, but why not just spend $300 more for a guy like Leonard Fournette with way more safety? Now, in GPPs, I completely understand you going to maybe Saquon because he hasn't been having many carries. Maybe he just breaks out and busts some long ones against Green Bay. And the weather's bad, so it looks like a run game in that, and Green Bay's run D has been bad. So all of that adds up, so I get it. In GPP, Saquon Barkley's good. Le'Veon Bell is good. Another guy that is good is Josh Jacobs against Kansas City. Kansas City's run D for years has been bad. It just is what it is. Josh Jacobs, though, at 6'9", I'm not very interested, especially in the game script that's probably going to play out here, where they're probably going to be throwing a ton. Okay? So it's not the best situation for Josh Jacobs, seeing that it's not going to be a heavy ground and pound type of game script for Oakland. Another guy that interests me, but he's just been so iffy this year, Todd Gurley is going against Arizona. Very good matchup. Problem is his amount of carries is just fluctuating big time. He had 25 carries week 11, and then all the way down to only 6 against Baltimore. A big part of that is because they lost by damn near 40 points. Okay, so that was a major impact on it. So expect him to definitely get around 15 to 20 carries here against Arizona. This game should stay close enough to where the run is used up fairly well. So if he's going to get that like close to 25 in close matchups like he did against Chicago, he's definitely in play against Arizona, and I don't think anybody is going to be on Ty Gurley this week. He is a very solid GPP option at 6.5. All right. Other guys that I'm interested in. Let's go down a little bit to Miles Sanders against Miami. Now, we've all been taking the plunge on Sanders, and he hasn't really done much for us lately. But the reasoning is there, okay? They have nobody in the run game. Jordan Howard's out. Going against Miami, amazing matchup to where Philly should get up and just be able to pound the ball. Miami is very bad defensively against the run. Miles Sanders makes complete sense. I have no issues with Sanders whatsoever. And at only 5'4", he's definitely a guy that I'm interested in for cash games. Anybody else that I want to talk about? Those are the main core guys that I'm looking at. Other guys that you can consider, Kenyon Drake against the Rams is okay, but I'd definitely rather Sanders over him 100%. Another guy I want to mention, Phillip Lindsay, at home in Denver. We have Locke making his first start of his career for Denver, which he's obviously going to be relying a lot on these little dump-offs, and I think that's going to be a great thing for Lindsay, who is a very good pass catcher, super quick. So if he catches a little screen pass, he could take it to the house easily. This dude is lightning fast. And against the Chargers, it's not like they've been super stout against the run. He's a fine option at 5,000. Another guy I want to mention, I skipped over him, I believe. Jonathan Williams has been balling. Marlon Mack got hurt, and then this dude has just taken control. The best part about it is that he has been getting a ton of touches. At least last week against Houston, he got 26 touches against Houston, 26 carries. That is a ton here. Okay, I don't see either one of these teams pulling away from the other. I think the run game's still going to be necessary on both sides. I think Williams is a great play at 5.3. I really like Williams as a GPP pivot off of Miles Sanders, who probably will be higher owned. I'm not 100%, but I would expect Miles Sanders to be higher owned than Jonathan Williams. Jonathan Williams is a solid GPP pivot off of that. All right. Last but not least, I want to talk about LaShawn McCoy because I can definitely see a scenario where he has a good game here. First of all, super windy, so it's a little bit of a down tick to the pass game. They might rely a little more on the run game. And at only 4.8, LaShawn McCoy is in a great situation here. On top of that, Damian Williams was ruled out for Sunday, so he's in a great spot here at 4.8. He's going to get a ton of carries here. He's going to lead the backfield in carries here. And, I mean, the best part is he gets some solid targets in the pass game as well. This is a good matchup against Oakland. I definitely like him in GPPs at 4.8. So LaShawn McCoy, don't sleep on him. Damian Williams out. With the weather, with the heavy wind, expect more of a run game type of game plan. And I really like LaShawn McCoy as a solid option. All right, let's go ahead and talk wide receivers. At the wide receiver position, my favorite wide receiver is probably going to be Cooper Kupp in this matchup against Arizona. Okay, I understand Patrick Peterson is there. I don't expect Peterson to follow around Cooper Kupp in the slot and all that. At 7-1, I love this. I like this game a lot. It's in a dome. Kupp has had like 3 down days, weekends in a row. We know what he's capable of. I think this is a bounce back spot in a big way for Kupp. All right. Another reason why I really like Kupp is because the other guy that I'm really considering around that price range that is really tough on me, like this decision is really tough, is Davante Adams. I love Davante Adams as long as that weather isn't bad enough to severely affect the pass game. Davante Adams is going to be going against Janoris Jenkins, who is a cornerback I've been picking on all season long. He is too small to stop Davante Adams. Davante is a very solid option. He's always going to get you a very solid floor. And in this matchup against the Giants, oh my Lord, it is beautiful. Okay, so I love Davante Adams. Now, he is expected to be high owned. Now, here's the thing. Pay attention to the weather. Because if you pay attention to that weather and it's looking like it's going to be like a blizzard and affect the pass game in a major way, you could get off some of these people just blindly following this chalk because it's a great play, and you could pivot to a Cooper Kupp and not have to worry about any weather issues in a dome. Okay, so if that weather's bad and you love Davante, if the weather's super bad, pivot to Cooper Kupp. He's completely fine. All right, Tyreek Hill is too pricey at 8.9. I am not spending 8.9 for Tyreek Hill. In GPPs, I can't fault you because the dude could catch like 3 long bombs, but in cash games, no reason. All right. Another guy that I like this week that I want to mention is DJ Chark. DJ Chark has been the main target for Foles since he came back. The dude dropped a huge 33 against the Colts. He's got huge upside. I'm not playing him in cash games, but in GPP he's definitely playable. All right, another guy I want to talk about is Christian Kirk. Now, the question here is who will Ramsey cover? Now, with neither Fitzpatrick or Kirk being like elite superstar receivers, I don't see them having Ramsey follow either one of them. I think Ramsey's just going to stay on one side of the field and do a very good job on whoever's on that side at that time. All right. So Kirk is still a solid play at 5'7". Like I said, I love this game. It is in a dome, no weather issues. Game should be a back and forth battle. So Christian Kirk, I absolutely love him at 5'7". Another guy right around, there's a lot of guys at this price range that I really love. Robert Woods at 5'5", I love as well. He consistently gets solid targets in this game once again. Really love him, man. I mean, it's a great spot. If you have Cooper Kupp, you know what I mean? Because obviously a lot of people are going to go Higbee. I'm probably locking Higbee in, and we'll talk about him a little later. I don't want 3 Ram receivers, to be honest. I love that game, but I don't want 3 Ram receivers, especially if I end up going Lamar and I'm not pairing him with Goff. It makes no sense to me in lineup building. If you're playing GPP, I can understand you going Goff, Kupp, Woods, and Higbee. You're just praying to get every single touchdown in that game, and that it's a high-scoring affair. But honestly, I would pick, and if it turns out that the weather's okay for Devontae Adams and you go Devontae, if you're trying to battle between these mid 5K guys, I like Woods slightly over Kirk, to be honest. It's close though. All right. Next up, Devontae Parker at 5'7". The dude's been getting a ridiculous amount of targets. He hasn't scored under 11 Draftkings points since week 4. Preston Williams is out. He is the main target, and they will be down in this game against Philly. I feel like for some reason he's going to be a little bit slept on, and he shouldn't be. He's got 20-plus upside, and he's got the safety of he's going to get us at least 11 DraftKings points like he's done ever since week 4. So Devontae is a safe play. So in cash games, I really like Devontae Parker for sure. All right, and I do feel like he's going to be slept on, so he shouldn't be. Anybody else? I don't like Godwin against Jacksonville. It's just that game's not, I don't have much interest in that other than the run game for Jacksonville. Cortland Sutton's in that price range against the Chargers. He's okay. Anybody else? Alshon Jeffrey is back and going against Miami. So it's a great spot for him to come back at. Obviously, he's going to come right back into being Wentz's number 1 receiver. This is a great spot for him. A lot of people will be off of him, so I really like Alshon in GPP because he could have a monster game against Miami, who is a very bad defense. We saw what Odell and Jarvis did to them last week, so expect a very solid performance out of him here, unless he comes back a little slow and rusty. But I think Alshon will be just fine at 5'1". I like him for GPPs. I think Tyler Boyd is a tad too cheap at 5'5". D.D. Westbrook has been getting some good targets for Jacksonville with Foles behind center. Sammy Watkins at 5'4" is a solid option at home in Kansas City going against Oakland. That is the top total on the entire slate. So I really think he is very interesting here. So yeah, he's looking like he's good to go. He was questionable for a little bit throughout the week, but he's good to go. He'll play. And that's about it. We'll stop wide receivers right there. Now, tight end's pretty easy for me this week. I'm spending down. First guy that we have our eye on is Tyler Higbee. Gerald Everett is going to miss the game, so he is going to be the number 1 guy. And obviously, Goff loves to utilize his tight ends. He's been using a lot of Higbee and Everett lately. And Everett specifically, and now with Everett out, Higbee is pretty much a lock at 2.5. Don't overthink this, guys. He is an amazing play at 2.5 in a very good game. Okay, I've talked about this game a million times. Love that game. Another tight end that we definitely want exposure to is Doyle. Okay, T.Y. Hilton's going to miss this game, as well as Eric Ebron was put on the IR. That means Jack Doyle is going to probably be the guy that Brissett leans on the most. So I really love Jack Doyle as well. I wouldn't even hate you for like double tight ending it. Like I don't recommend that much. You know what I'm saying? But if you're in one of those situations where you're trying to figure out like a cheap receiver and like Auden Tate's the only guy you like, which Auden Tate is also playable. I didn't talk about him in receivers, but Auden Tate is probably my favorite value receiver this week. But outside of Auden Tate, it is slim pickings for cheap guys at receiver this week. So, with that being said, double tight end going Doyle instead of those guys makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? If you decide to go that route, I can totally feel you on it. Okay, if you want a few cheap, if you don't like the other receivers, which is how I feel, and you need a cheap guy, definitely consider Doyle as a very solid option. I definitely like him more than the other guys around his price on this slate, for sure. All right, I think Doyle could smash. Outside of that, if you want to spend up in GPPs, obviously Travis Kelce. If you want to spend all the way up, Travis Kelce's in a great position. Dallas Goedert at 4-1 is in a great spot. Caden Smith for the Giants is okay, but keep an eye on the weather. Obviously, that'll significantly hurt the pass game, but outside of them, I mean, maybe Darren Waller playing catch-up against KC is also an option, but those are mainly the guys that I'm focused on. All right. In defense, it really comes down to a few guys. If you have the money, the Carolina Panthers at home going against Washington, Haskins is just making a ton of mistakes right now, and that's great for defensively. So Carolina, if you want to spend up, but outside of that, if you're spending down, my bad. If you're spending down, for me, it's the Cleveland Browns. Okay, they're getting Olivier Vernon back. They're getting a few defensive linemen back on this defense, and it's going to make a major impact here against Pittsburgh, who's already got their other quarterback in since they moved on from the dude who got hit in the head by the helmet. I mean, he just wasn't right since, so they moved on. Now they have the third-string quarterback in, and this defense is getting a boost now with Vernon back and stuff. So Cleveland's a great spend-down D, and they're the main D I'm going with if I'm spending down at 2.6. Other options that you could consider, Baltimore Ravens against San Francisco. Don't love it, but they are at home, and they're a solid defense. Kansas City Chiefs at 2.7 is also a solid option because Kansas City will be up big in this game, forcing Oakland to throw a lot, which could lead to interceptions, turnovers, stuff like that. So Kansas City Chiefs and the Browns, if you're spending down, you pick between them. It's all good, either one. And then Carolina Panthers if you want to spend up. If you just have the money, then you're fine if you want to spend up. All right? All right, guys. Thank you for joining me as always. GreenlightDFS.com. Join the squad. Hopefully I touched on everybody you guys were curious of. Hopefully I was able to help you in any way. I hope you kill it this week, man. Let's get it. GreenlightDFS.com. Comment anything in the comment section and enter your name to that $50 giveaway. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And I'm out.